Hey Pokemon fans, Joseph here, and I am back after a long time because I finally just graduated college. And in my first video back, I am talking about the type chart and all of the Pokemon type matchups. So let's proceed. First, let's start with normal type. Normal is immune to ghost because ghost can't touch regular people or regular animals. And it's weak to fighting because a normal person will be no match against a skillful martial artist in a fight. Next, we have fighting type. Fighting resists bug, dark, and rock. Bug because skillful martial artists won't be distracted by a bug. Dark because skillful martial artists won't be tricked easily by evil people. And rock because rocks thrown at a martial artist will be broken or dodged. Fighting is weak to fairy, flying, and psychic. Fairy because magical creatures will defeat skillful martial artists in a fight. Flying because the higher the position in a battle will win. And psychic because strong minds will beat raw power. Next, we have flying type. Flying is immune to ground because anything happening with the ground won't affect something that's high above it. Flying resists bug, fighting, and grass. Bug because the bug will just be eaten by the flying creature. Fighting because you cannot punch or kick someone who is high above you. And grass because the grass will also just be eaten by the flying creature. Flying is weak to electric, ice, and rock. Electric because the flying creature won't fly if it's paralyzed by electricity. Ice because frosty air or frozen wings will keep the flying creature from flying. And rock because you can kill two birds with one stone. Next, we have poison type. Poison resists bug, fairy, fighting, grass, and poison. Bug because bugs are helpless against pesticides. Fairy because fairies are connected to nature and poison is harmful to them. Fighting because a skilled martial artist can't fight if they're sick. Grass because grass will just be put away by the poison. And poison because adding more poison to poison will just increase the poison. Poison is weak to ground and psychic. Ground because ground will just absorb the poison. And psychic because the mind created a lot of cures for poison. Next, we have ground type. Ground is immune to electric because electricity will just disperse into the ground. Ground resists poison and rock. Poison because ground will just absorb the poison. And rock because the rock will just sit on the dirt. Ground is weak to grass, ice, and water. Grass because grass will take nutrients from the ground. Ice because the ground will be frozen in the winter. And water because water is used to clean dirt. Next, we have rock type. Rock resists fire, flying, normal, and poison. Fire because rocks are effective in blocking fire. Flying because birds can't do anything to rock. Normal because normal people can't also do anything to rock. And poison because poison will just slide off a rock. Rock is weak to fighting, grass, ground, steel, and water. Fighting because a skillful martial artist can break rock. Grass because the roots of the grass will get nutrients from the rock. Ground because earthquakes break rocks. Steel because steel also break rocks. And water because of erosion. Next, we have bug type. Bug resists fighting, grass, and ground. Fighting because skillful martial artists can't punch bugs. Grass because the grass will just be eaten by the bug. And ground because covering bugs with dirt will just dig out. Bug is weak to fire, flying, and rock. Fire because fire burns bugs. Flying because birds eat bugs. And rocks because rocks crush bugs. Next, we have ghost type. Ghost is immune to fighting and normal because regular people or punches and kicks from a martial artist won't affect a ghost. Ghosts resist bug and poison because ghosts are already dead and therefore cannot be sick. And they're weak to dark and ghost. Dark because a nice ghost can be corrupted by evil spirit, and ghost because only other ghosts can touch ghosts. Next, we have steel type. Steel is immune to poison because poison can't pass through steel. Steel resists bug, dragon, fairy, flying, grass, ice, normal, psychic, rock, and steel. Steel has the most resistances, so I will explain all of them in one part. Steel have all these resistances because steel is very durable and strong, so these types can't do anything much to it. Steel is weak to fighting, fire, and ground. Fighting because skilled martial artists can bend iron, fire because fire melts steel, and ground because steel will become rust if covered in dirt or earthquakes destroying steel. Next, we have fire type. Fire resists bug, fairy, fire, grass, ice, and steel. Bug because the bug will just be burnt. Fairy because mythical creatures are scared of fire. Fire because adding more fire to fire will just increase the fire. Grass because the plant will just be burnt. Ice because the ice will just melt. And steel because the steel will also just melt. Fire is weak to ground, rock, and water. Ground because ground is used to put out fire. Rock because rock will block fire. And water because water is used to put out fire. Next, we have water type. Water resists fire, ice, steel, and water. Fire because the fire will just be put out. Ice because the ice will just float on the water. Steel because water rusts steel. And water because adding more water into water will just increase the water. Water is weak to electric and grass. Electric because the minerals of water will conduct electricity. And grass because grass will absorb water. Next, we have grass type. Grass resists electric, grass, ground, and water. Electric because wood is a poor conductor of electric. Grass because other plants can't do anything to other plants. Ground because grass will just absorb nutrients from the ground. And water because grass will just absorb water. Grass is weak to bug, fire, flying, ice, and poison. Bug because bugs eat plants. Fire because fire burns plants. Flying because birds also eat plants. Ice because frozen temperature or snow will kill plants. And poison because toxic and poison will kill plants. Next, we have electric type. Electric resists electric, flying, and steel. Electric because adding more electric to electric will just increase the electricity. Flying because birds can't do anything to electricity. And steel because steel will absorb or conduct electricity. Electric is weak to ground because to get rid of electricity, you have to ground the electricity. Next, we have psychic type. Psychic resists fighting and psychic. Fighting because a skillful martial artist can't do anything to someone who has a strong mind. And psychic because psychic can't do anything to other psychic. Psychic is weak to bug, dark, and ghosts because bugs, evil people, and criminals and ghosts are all common human fears, and fear can inhibit the mind. Next, we have ice type. Ice resists ice because adding more ice onto ice will just increase the ice. Ice is weak to fighting, fire, rock, and steel. Fighting because a skillful martial artist can break ice. Fire because fire melts ice. Rock because rock breaks ice. And steel because steel also breaks ice. Next, we have dragon type. Dragon resists electric, fire, grass, and water. Dragons have these resistances because dragons are strong elemental creatures, so elemental attacks can't do anything to them. Dragon is weak to dragon, fairy, and ice. Dragon because only another dragon can defeat another dragon. Fairy because in fairy tales, the hero slays dragons. And ice because cold temperature hurts dragons. Next, we have dark type. Dark is immune to psychic because fear caused by an evil creature will render the mind useless. Dark resists dark and ghosts because evil people won't be tricked by another evil person. And ghosts because Evil is not scared of ghosts. Dark is weak to bug, fairy, and fighting. Bug because insects or other bugs have excellent night vision. Fairy because in fairy tales, evil loses. And fighting because a skillful martial artist can beat an evil person. Lastly, we have fairy type. Fairy is immune to dragon because dragon magic won't do anything to fairy magic. Fairy resists bug, dark, and fighting. Bug because insects won't do anything to fairies. Dark because evil creatures will be no match to a fairy. And fighting because a skillful martial artist will be no match to a fairy. Fairy is weak to poison and steel. Poison because mythical creatures are afraid of poison. And steel because steel is damaging to fake creatures or mythical creatures in myths. And there you have it. Those are my explanations for the Pokemon type chart. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thank you.